How was Bailey looking on the track?
It looks pretty good. Day one, obviously, I'm sure there was a few nerves there, but yeah, it was great to see him in the Cats colours finally. But he's been around the traps for a bit now, so while it's sort of formally day one, the guys have been going for a few weeks now.
And enjoying himself down here early days?
Hope so. Yeah, no, it looks like he's obviously coming back from an ACL, so I think that the challenge with him is sort of pulling him back because he wants to get into it all, and obviously it's a new environment for him, but yeah, we'll make sure we're not cranking it up, too high too early because it's a long season.
You going to take him out fishing?
No, he's got to earn the right.
How important is that side of it, Pat, the connection we hear so much about in modern footy, that he does settle and gets a nickname and all that sort of stuff?
Well, he came in with a nickname, so I think that's pretty settled, but there's always, footy clubs are funny places, we'll find a new one for him. But yeah, we just want him to be himself, to be honest. It's not so much conforming to how we want to play. We want him to play to his strengths, and that to benefit us as a team. So we'll sort of find out sort of what that is over the next 2 months. You have an idea because you see him and you play against him, but it's not until you pull on the Guernsey together and you sort of understand the running patterns and where he likes to get the ball and all those sorts of things. So that'll take a little bit of time. But it's a pretty short runway into opening round.
We've seen flashes of his best, and it's up there with the best in the comp. But how can Geelong extract his best consistently and get him playing his absolute peak?
Well, I think the expectations are very high because he came in as a young player and played really well really early. I think people sometimes forget he's only 23, so have I got that right, 23? And if I look at my own self and you reflect and you go, what were you like at the same age? That was the hardest part, was consistency, right? So that's the part that he'll want to get right. That's the part that Tanner Braun, Ollie Dempsey, the list is never ending in terms of players because that's the key to good performance. So the hiccup there is obviously doing an ACL. So he wasn't able to do it last year. So he just needs to take his time, and that's the hard part when you want to come in and play well and impress, but we want him for the absolute long term, not just the opening month of footy. So we'll be pragmatic.
Ultimately, you've mostly seen him from afar. You've seen him up close a little bit. Do you think his best position will be in the guts?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he's that inside midfielder. He has the ability to break lines. He averages a lot of inside 50s. I think that'll really benefit the grip that we've got in and around the ball. So. Yeah, that's where I'd see him playing.
So he'll be alongside you, first bounce?
Hopefully, yeah. Not far away now, unfortunately.
That's a high-powered engine room. You own Smith.
Yeah, well, I think what we've done well is rotate a lot of players through there. And we had our ups and downs in that area of the ground last year, but I felt like our last sort of 8 to 10 weeks was really strong. So the important part is you're not just restricting it to 4 or 5 players. I think the really good teams rotate a number of players through there, and we'll look to do that. Mitch Nevitz, I think, the player will see a fair bit through there throughout the early parts of the season. I think he has a lot to offer in that area of the ground, and there's a few others as well.
Who's the quickest out of the three? Quickest? Bailey and Max, yeah, like if the ball's a few metres away, but you still back yourself to get there.
Oh, not too many are faster than Max, but I haven't seen too many players more competitive than Bailey, so I think it'll be a good pre-season in that sense.
Did you play much of a role in getting into the club initially and even in the lead up to try and convince him that the Cats were the one?
No, to be honest. No, that was Reese's farm that I think got him over the line.
How's your body?
Body's good, yeah. It's it's fun, to be honest. Like this time of the year, everything generally feels good because there hasn't been the bash and crash of a season, but it only feels like yesterday that sort of the season finished up. So with new faces comes that energetic sort of feeling around the place, and it's hard not to be caught up in that.
Availability looks pretty good, most of the guys on the track. How important is that this time of year to set you up for a hot start?
Yeah, it's really important. I think the most important period for any and all teams really is going to be the Christmas break this year, because the runway is short, particularly those teams playing in opening round. Post the Christmas period, I think most teams return around January 8. It's pretty much a month before practice games. So how teams manage that Christmas period will be the most important part, and really it's more how individuals handle their own training because you're away from the place. So it's important to get that part right. It's certainly important for us because we've only got a couple of weeks before the Christmas break now. So you need to sort of kick off in January where you're launching from a good platform and not sort of restarting again.
Seeing Mitch Duggan and Cam Guthrie running and running at good speed looks a positive because they've been pretty hampered, I reckon, at this time the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mitch is the only pre-season almost in my time that I'd seen him complete was last year's, and Cam Guthrie will really be like a new recruit for us, obviously being hampered with his toe into a bit of Achilles stuff. So he'll be really important. He looks fit. He looks like he's enjoying it a bit. It can get a grind in the season when you're trying just to get back and then you fall short. So he looks like he's in great shape. He always prepares himself well, but it's nice to see him smiling.
What do you think with Tom Hawke and Zach Tui out there today? Or?
It's because of the way that we structure pre-season, it's always pretty individualised anyway. So it's sort of not now that will be the feeling of, it's different. I think it's probably more once games come around that it will be a bit different. And two really big personalities and big sort of, I suppose, presences game day, that will be the different part. But that's also the great thing about footy, you know, it breeds opportunities for the next. And it's always, you know, how do you replace, when I first started, it was how do you replace Goodman and McLeod, and there's players that come along, and footy clubs do. No one is irreplaceable, it's just the next turn for the next person that's up. So whilst we're going to miss those guys, it's exciting for the opportunities that are there for others to, you know, grab hold of.
Jack Martin, the other new face on the track, how do you see his first session and what do you think he can produce in 2025?
Yeah, really, I was really excited when that was a potential that he might come down the highway, and he's obviously had his injury history, but we're confident that we can help him get past some of those things. And that's not to say that we do anything any better than anyone else, but sometimes a bit of a change up is a good thing. Remember, sort of Link McCarthy was in the same position where it was like we just couldn't quite get him right, and the change was good for him. So hopefully Jack can play a bit of Link.
You mentioned Mitch Nevitt before there. Is he one you expect to go to another level next year?
Yeah, I reckon he's a really big, powerful player, and I can see him playing some really good AFL footy, and he looks in great nick. So it's building that consistency throughout the pre-season, backing yourself in that you're good enough to play at the level. But absolutely, yeah.
There's a reason why they make windscreens bigger than rearview mirrors. You always look forward, but
It's true, Stephen, it is.
The preliminary final gnawed at you at all?
I'm not one to spend too much time in the past, to be honest. Once it's done, it's done. There's things you can learn from it, absolutely, but you can't bathe yourself in the disappointment of a game that you can no longer control. So it's moving forward with a new group that's different to the old one, to be frank. And as disappointing as it is, you know, round zero isn't going to atone for a prelim loss. Like, it's a different year with a new opportunity.
As captain, what did you make of Tyson's Yogi Bear?
Look, it's not his best work, but look, he's a wonderful artist, and maybe Tyson's the same thing, just on the field.
10 games at Virginia Park next year. You must be pretty pleased to hear that news.
Yeah, it's it's something that we haven't done, I don't think, particularly well last year. We didn't play as well as at home as we'd like to. So that's the challenge for us, is to turn it back into the fortress that we know it can be. To hit 100,000 members and really get the place going again. So 10 games at home is wonderful, and we're going to make sure that we do our best to win 90-odd% of it.
Kids finished shoveling that stuff out of the back of the trailer?
No, not yet, but if anyone's delivering dirt to the Surf Coast, then feel free to drop past mine.
It's probably an obvious answer, but I'll ask the question, will you put your hand up to captain the club again? Is that what you expect?
Not sure, to be honest, Kingy. We've got a decent enough runway into next season to sort of deal with that sort of stuff in the post-mortem, but in January, February. And I think, as always, for us, it's around what's the best thing for next season. So we'll the coaches will get together and they'll sort of put forward their ideas on where that sits. But from a player's perspective, I don't think there's any rush. We've still got an experienced group, even there's a lot of young players. So it'll be sort of January, February that I think we'd get to that sort of stuff.
So you're open to a handover potentially?
Yeah, I think it's about the right person for the job for next year. So I don't think it's anyone's to own for any long period of time, unless you know, Joel Selwood at 23. It's a bit different, isn't it? So it's what's best for the footy club. I think that's the most important thing to always keep front of mind.
Do you enjoy it, or do you see it as a duty to the club?
No, I enjoy it. I think you definitely, the longer you're in the game, you understand what's important, what's not. Kids changes that in terms of priorities. And as you get older, things change as well, because you're not able to necessarily train as much or influence just physically like you once were, where you could just do it. And that's a good challenge, I think, because it means you need to find other ways to influence. So I don't think there's anything wrong with captaining your side in your early 20s or anything wrong in your 30s. You know, it's just what suits the group, what suits the organisation, and it varies from club to club.
Was there much haggling, Pat, over a 2-year deal before you're here, or was it always going to be 2 and we blew it up to be more than what it was?
It was, I think, probably the shortest negotiation Max had for a while, so it was more getting through the season and making sure that I didn't do an ACL, I think. But yeah, it wasn't elongated at all.